don't know what's back there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to Article 36, another petitioned article, and it's being moved by Mr. Harris Contos at the front microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the article as written.
Article is moved. Seconded on my left. Board of Selectmen.
Does not recommend.
Does not recommend. Finance Committee? Made no recommendation, I understand. Okay, Mr. Contos, go ahead. Tell us about this article.
The town's motor vehicle noise bylaw goes unenforced, leaving us unprotected from unnecessary, loud, and excessive noise. Principal offenders are motorcycles with illegally modified exhausts and thumping car stereos. Control of this noise is key to quality of life and community policing. Previous efforts to enact easily enforceable and legally unambiguous noise bylaws, particularly with regard to the motorcycles, have been rebuffed and undermined by the police department. Case in point, favoritism is shown to motorcycle interests when a sensible and workable proposal to control motorcycle noise, and one that is adopted in other municipalities, was put forth before this body 2 years ago. The police department met with the Mass Motorcycle Association while this legislation was pending. The bylaw was defeated, something celebrated in a press release by the Mass Motorcycle Association, thanking the selectmen and the police department for their support in defeating the measure. Questions arise as to impartiality and confidence in local government and law enforcement, and whether the public's interests or special interests take precedence. As the police department is entrusted and funded by us to enforce the bylaws for our safety, protection, and well-being, we are well within our rights to have an accounting in the annual report of the number of citations issued under the town's motor vehicle noise bylaw.
Harris, you done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Article 36 is on the floor. Does anyone wish to ask any questions, make any comment? And I'll recognize you, ma'am, at the left microphone.
Hi, Rosemary Hurley, Precinct 7. My name is Rosemary Hurley. My husband and I, Tom, both grew up in Yarmouth over 44 years now. We've owned a home on Route 6A in Yarmouthport for 10 years, and we also have full-time jobs in Yarmouth. We are the proud owners of a Harley-Davidson Road King. We've been participating in motorcycle rides all over the Cape for a very long time. I'm also the administrator of Cape Cod Bikers Riding Information Site, a Facebook page listing all the motorcycle events on the Cape, so we can get together to do good for the towns. Motorcycle enthusiasts are amazing people with hearts of gold. They join together participating in organized police-escorted rides all over the nation and the world, for that matter. They raise money for local charities. These bikers are hard-working, tax-paying citizens. We are your plumbers, your electricians, dentists, doctors, lawyers, policemen, firemen, your local waitresses and bartenders that enjoy riding their motorcycles and helping the greater good. We are not the thugs that dress like the village people, taken from a quote from a resident in the Cape Cod Times article. We raise money for veterans, police dogs, cancer, the Jimmy Fund, MLS, ALS, house fires. We've even raised enough money to get a service dog for a little girl named Emily to control her epilepsy seizures. As a matter of fact, we are all supposed to be on a ride today, right now, for a little boy named Jacob that has a rare form of leukemia, but we were unable to attend due to this meeting. He will not be getting our income today because we had to be here. If we stop these rides, who will take over? The people complaining about the noise? I doubt it. We realize the rides create a little noise for a small amount of time while we ride through the towns, but so do parades, fireworks, and other, like the Pan Mass Challenge, yelling, turn right at 5 a.m. on Route 6A where I live. But I understand that, and they're doing it for good, so we suck it up and let it happen. We don't complain or try to stop these events. We realize all these things are a part of life and are for very good causes. Bikers also spend a lot of money in the towns that they pass through. You would be losing income at hotels, restaurants, gas stations, convenience stores, etc. We are proud to be Americans and support the fallen soldiers and their families for the sacrifices they gave for our freedom. Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen goes from Otis Correctional Facility along the canal up Route 6A to DY High. People stand on the side of the roads when we ride by, clutching their flags, thanking us, crying and cheering us on, to the point where we cry because we feel their pain and want to do what we can to comfort them. We are trying to do good for this world. We don't just get together on a mission to make noise. The towns already have a noise law on loud pipes. Our motorcycle has stock pipes that we bought from 2008, right from the factory. They're perfectly legal. We all pay excise taxes. It's our constitutional right to ride on these roads. Thank you. I also have a petition that's been online for about 2 months, and we have over 1,475 signatures saying, please let these rides go on.
Thank you. I'll recognize Dave Aiken at the back microphone.
I just look at the shirts. Big Nick's Ride. If you're taking a shot at the cops because a cop lost his kid in Afghanistan, Mr. You and I have a problem. This is about our freedom. Buy earplugs.
Yes, sir. The left microphone.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My name is Rick Leeson, South Yarmouth, Precinct 2. I am also the Legislative Director for the Massachusetts Motorcycle Association, and I can clarify some of the comments previously made if necessary. When we thanked the Board of Selectmen, it was a unanimous type not to support these type of bans. And the last article that the petition referred to was what simply was called an EPA stamp, which is not a requirement to the consumer. That's all that is. When we thank the police department, we have worked with the police department to try to control motorcycle noise by having voluntary sound checks. And these are sound checks done through Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 7, S, T, and U, with the CMR regulations telling exactly what equipment to use and how to do it and what the results are. So we've conducted them all across Massachusetts. And we have brochures called When in Town, Throttle Down, and Yarmouth distributes those brochures. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to educate the rider so that the local public, the non-riding public, doesn't come after us. So we do not condone so-called straight pipes. And I don't know anybody that has any of these so-called straight pipes. So to clear that up. I do not support this special article. And one of the reasons, first reason I come up with is what defines a motorcycle ride? Now it's quite obvious in a big organized ride such as Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen would be considered a motorcycle ride. But what about the motorcyclist that meets 10 of his friends or her friends at the donut shop in Hyannis? Then they have made a few phone calls, so they ride into Yarmouth to go to the lodge and pick up some more riders, who will then ride to a restaurant in New Orleans to pick up more and head to Provincetown for a nice dinner or something. How does the law enforcement community decide which would be legal or which would be illegal? It doesn't say. There's absolutely no definition. And I personally fear that our law enforcement officers will be wasting their time tracking down what turns out to be illegal motorcycles. We ride in and around the town of Yarmouth legally on the roadways, and each and every motorcycle is inspected annually, and that motorcycle either passes the test or it fails the test. An inspection defined by MassDOT. Now, while there are some who complain about this so-called noise as being unacceptable, a group of legal motorcycles riding together may produce sound emissions that are perceived to be illegal, yet they are not. And this perception is not and cannot be construed as a means to ban future motorcycle rides. And as previously mentioned, we are a legal motor vehicle for Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 1. We pay our excise taxes, and we have the right to ride on any roads, including Yarmouth. I'm asking vote no for this special article. Thank you.
Dan?
Yes, sir. Next, okay, Tracy. Sir, at the back microphone.
Winston Stedman, Precinct 7. Sorry to speak again. This is kind of dear to me. This is to the petitioner. As a combat vet and a Yarmouth resident, I take really offense at you trying to stop, and this is all about the Knicks ride that comes through Yarmouth. They're paying tribute to one of my brothers that died fighting for my freedoms and your freedom to bring to this town to try to stop what he died for. If you're inconvenienced a little bit because of the noise, or you have to wait in traffic a little bit, maybe you should stop and think what he did die for, or what his family is going through. His father, being a police officer here in our town, who continually, his life is in jeopardy every day he puts on a badge to protect yours and ours. And it's an insult to him and his family. They're going through so much pain for losing their son. He's a brother of mine as a Marine, and he gave his life. Every single person in here that's been a vet has written that check on their life. His got cashed. And these people that ride, I'm not a motorcycle rider. And I'm the biggest thing I'm upset about is it doesn't go by my house. Can you guys do that for me, maybe? You know? I can't. You can. Let it go. Let it go. When those bikes go by, think about it. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to recognize Tracy Boast of the Board of Selectmen.
I'd like to call the question.
Okay. All right, again, ladies and gentlemen, you know that there's no debate on that. This is to cease conversation and deliberation over this particular article. It needs a 2/3 vote. All those who are in favor of calling the question, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. It clearly passes by the 2/3 requisite vote. That brings us to the article itself, Article 36. All those in favor of Article 36, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Nay. Article 36 fails. Before we move on to the last article, I just want to say thank you